yeah, been Oops, I was just speaking. I was muted as well. That's okay. I will switch off my video. So I can't see anyone waving at me because I find the video distracting. So because I get involved with other people. So I want to give you my attention here. So good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on probably the hottest day of the year if you're in London. And yeah, thanks for coming. 27 participants. That's brilliant. I love that. So that's great. Thanks for coming to this session on how to build confidence to help you thrive in your career. So just a little bit about me before we start. I think for those of you who were on the call before, you heard me talking to Polly from Space4 about myself a little bit, and Maddie. So I am Rosemary Wilson. My background is in such a different world. I worked for over 20 years in finance and then in fintech, implementing large-scale financial systems for oil and gas companies. So I've worked for some of the world's largest oil and gas companies around the globe. And I wanted to work for myself. So I'm now in the second chapter of my career. I've had an amazing career to date. And now I'm the owner and founder of Pragmatica Coaching, which is a coaching and training company. I am a speaker, a coach, a mentor, and a facilitator. I work with women mainly, and some men who resonate with my language, to help them thrive in what they do. I help women to nurture their talent and really to either grow in their current role or take the next step in their career, so that to feel brave enough and confident enough to move on. That's just a little bit about me. And I also work with organizations who are committed to investing in their employees and nurturing their talent. And I've obviously got a strong affiliation with diversity and inclusion because A, I'm Black, and B, I'm a woman. But I also believe in inclusive language for everything, not just about colour and gender. So that's just a little bit about me. And so today I'm excited to deliver this session for you. So I'll be covering, so I'm talking about career confidence, but you go to work as yourself. You go to work as a whole being. So some of what I say will also touch on your personal life. So it's up to you to, what do they say? Eat the meat, leave the bones, so to speak. I'm sorry if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, but take what you need from what I say. I can't solve everyone's challenges, but I can certainly help you get started with your situation. And I want to make sure that I'm quite interactive and inclusive with you as well. So today I'm going to be covering self-belief. It either creates or denies your power. So if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe you can do something, then that either creates, that will deny your power. If you believe you can, that creates your power. I'm going to give you some practical ways you can immediately use to elevate your self-confidence. Setting boundaries, I think that's really, really important when you're talking about confidence levels. Saying no, setting expectations, agreements, really important. And confidence is about choice and action. So you can choose to not be confident, or you can choose to be confident. And once you set in your mind, I'm really strong on the mindset, so I'm classed as a mindset coach. Once you have the right perspective, even if you've never done something before, you can actually take the steps to say, yes, I'm going to do something, and then take action. So that's really, really important for what I'm saying here today. So as I said, I'll be interactive. Normally I run, well, I've been running webinars on my own, but Maddie is going to be helping me with the chat box. So if I spark something in you and you want me to either clarify or ask a question, pop it in the chat box. And I'll also be asking you questions throughout. I'm not going to do the work because I'm quite confident, as you can probably see, in most things. Sometimes if I'm doing something new, I'm a bit hesitant, but I always find a way through it. So this is about you, and I want you to get the maximum from this session. As you can see, I'm a hands person, not very good at webinars without the hands, but anyway. So my first question to you, this is your session. As I said, I know quite a lot. I've got years of experience in different areas. So what's your reason for being here? Why is this important to you? Or what would you like to get out of the session? I think I know why you're here, because of the topic, obviously, but maybe there's something specific. I ran this session and somebody actually came on and they were an actress and they wanted to be able to, they were getting a little bit older and they wanted to be able to present themselves with more confidence. So that was a kind of a curveball for me, but that was very interesting. So what would you like to get out of this session? And I can come back to that in a second, or not in a second, but in a little while. And I'm going to try to make sure I cover that during the session. Maybe if you throw me some curveballs, I'll be able to cover it for you. So just pop that in the chat box and Maddie can have a look, and maybe Maddie, you can shout some things out for me. So if you're there, participants, 33 participants, I know it's hot. So let me know what you'd like to get out of the session. Maybe just answer one of those questions. What would you like to get out of the session? Even if it's just to be more confident. Some ideas, some tools. What would you like to get out of the session? Okay, I'm going to leave that with you.
Okay, so Apoorva, is that how I say it? Sorry. She says to gain more confidence and be able to speak up freely. Lisa says how to project confidence in interviews.
Okay, interview.
Quite a good one, yeah. Anna says confidence for my career, gain some understanding of tools there are when I don't feel as confident. And Christine says, everything came at the same time. I want to come across as more confident and credible and learn some tools to do that. Actually, I was going to add something, and I think that would be what I would say as well for me. It was to be more confident and credible as well.
Credible, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And my self-belief and confidence, Annika says, often wavers, so it would be nice to know how to solidify this and make it a more permanent thing and gain some tactics to help to do this. Then there is someone said, I mean, I don't need to tell you who says what, because some might not want to say.
No, that's fine. You can do it anonymously. Just say what the reasons are would be great. Yeah, just so I can hear. Confidence
in being able to tackle tricky problems. Elevated pitch to win an audience in 30 seconds. Interesting. Get different views on that topic, and of course see how you can facilitate the session, someone says. And confidence to be able to say no. I always say yes to everything, seeing as a possibility, but then I get overwhelmed and frustrated. So confidence in making good choices. That's a good one. And I would like to feel more confident in things that don't come naturally to me. And find a voice and say what I think.
So let's speak up as well.
Yeah, self-belief and confidence, overcoming fear, also in finance, about to leave my job and considering a career change. That's really interesting. And use increased confidence to persuade others of my vision and values at work. Okay, so I'm gonna, that's great. I think there's a few curveballs in there. The elevator pitch, that might be a different session. But I can definitely give you some pointers about what you can do for yourself. So they're really good. I was trying to write some of those as well, but I think everything there was nothing there that the material doesn't cover. Maybe each of you have a specific situation. We're all very different. You have ideas in your head around self-belief. So, you know, I can't speak to you specifically, but I can certainly offer tools and perspectives around what you're going through. So thanks very much for doing that, Maddie. I really appreciate that. So my first point of call is I'm going to scale you. I'm going to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, where on the scale do you currently place your level of confidence? That's your general level of confidence. So I'm going to launch the poll now. So you should all be seeing a poll coming up. So you can vote, and I'm just going to leave that running for a while, and then I'll come back and we'll share the results in a second. So, okay. I'm just going to let that run for a second. So just conscious of time as well. So I'm going to crack on and just leave that poll running. So
So obviously, I said at the beginning, your self-belief, it either creates or denies your power. So what you say to yourself, you recognize it in your self-talk. And all of that plays a strong part in your motivation. So if you wake up and say things like, I'm never going to be able to do this, I'll give you some examples in a second. If you've already set your mind on failure or it's too difficult, and that speaks to your self-belief, that speaks to you saying to yourself, what am I capable of? So if you've already got a losing outlook, let's say, I'm not going to win this, I'm not going to beat this, I'm not going to be able to do it, then it will detract from your motivation, and it will be, it's obviously a determinant in achieving what you want. So it's either going to create your tools and techniques and action to achieve what you want, you're going to find the how, or you're not. It really starts from there. It starts from your self-talk, what you believe about yourself. And sometimes, you know, they say, talk about faking it until you make it. If you say it to yourself often enough, you start to believe it. Some people say, I could never say that because I don't believe it. You can just say it. There's no harm in saying it. And you can actually try to say it until you believe it. See if that works for you. So for anybody here who says, I can't do anything, if that's your default position, then try saying, I can and I will. Start off in that position. I will find a way, those types of language. But I'll talk a little bit more about language in a second. So there's this phrase, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. So if anyone's ever heard that phrase before, it's a really big phrase. Henry Ford, a great car manufacturer. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. So the way you go into a challenge, the way you go into a task, you know, obviously depending on how big or small or impactful that task is to you, the way you go into it will determine how you come out of it. So that's a really powerful way to look at things. So self-talk, I mean, every day I hear language, not so much now, but when I was out and about, obviously during lockdown, I literally listened to conversations on the train, in a bar, in a restaurant, in a networking event, and I hear people saying these types of things. They start off the phrase, the language is peppered with, I could never, or I wish I could do that, I'm not good at, I'm not good enough, what if I fail, I won't bother. So can you look at this table, and you can add your own. Have a look at that table and tell me, or not tell me, but have a think to yourself, what is your default language? Do you start off, I've got a friend who's an amazing, she makes furniture out of pallets. I'm like, wow. And she says, oh, I'm not very creative. And I'm like, really? She doesn't consider that to be creative. And I'm like, I think that's very creative personally. But she says, I'm not very creative. And she always starts off with saying, oh, I'm not very good at. And you can see her body language and all that sort of good stuff, or bad, well, not bad stuff, but that stuff. And already she's on a kind of that defeating language before she's even got anywhere. So think about your language when you want to do something. What's the first thing that you say? Is it I want to, I will, I will try, to denotes that, what does Yoda say? That there is no, you either do or do not, there is no try. So you can see from your language whether you're giving yourself that opportunity. I'm just going to end the poll, and I'll share the results with you. We've got a couple of people down at 1 to 3, 12%, 3 to 5, 23%. Most people are at 5 to 7, which is 48%. A few people at 7 till 9, 15%. And there's a 1, rock on, you can run the next session for us, who's a 10. That's wonderful. I'm going to share that with you, and I'm just going to close that down. So have a look, have a think. So one of the things about that poll is that you're not alone. Wherever you are on the scale, you're not actually alone. Maybe the person at 10 is alone, but most of you are not alone. So what causes you not to feel confident in what you're doing, whether it's your career, it's your personal life, business venture? What are the things that are causing you to not feel particularly confident? So we've got fear of failure, fear of success, fear of trying, fear of change, fear of not being in control, fear, just fear, and fear is an illusion, you know, but fear is there to protect you. I always say, make fear your friend. It's just there to protect you. It's just doing its job. You've got overwhelm. You don't know where to begin. You've got so much to do. You don't know where to start. And I just say, start with one thing, focus on one thing. You do the overthinking thing. So you have analysis and decision paralysis. That can stop you from feeling confident or able to make decisions. You don't expect great things for yourself. So there's so many, and often, unfortunately, often women, we don't expect a lot from ourselves. We play it small, we undervalue ourselves. So this is like a domino effect. If you have these things going on in the background, they're going to have a knock on to your confidence level. That's your domino effect. So I would say, you know, if you've got fear at the cause, you know, make friends with your fear. It can't hurt. Thoughts can't harm you, but they can stop you from doing what it is that you need to do. So just think about that from that perspective. So we've got a little bit of background for what might be going on. I'm not going to talk about what might be going on for you because we're all different. We're all on a journey. But what I am going to share with you is what practical action steps that you can take. So Maddie, again, feel free to interrupt me if I'm going too fast or need to explain anything. So what are the practical action steps? That's what you're here for, the juicy bits. So action. The individuals I work with, they often start off saying with, I'll do it when I feel more confident. And what actually happens is it takes forever to feel more confident. Confidence actually comes with action. The act of doing is what you start becoming when you start becoming more confident. So I don't know anybody who rides a bike or learned to swim, drive a car. You didn't feel particularly confident when you went into the car or when you started on the bike, but the more you practiced, the more you became confident. So confidence actually comes with action. So then I say yes to opportunities. So the person who said they often, oh no, they were talking about boundaries. I think I'm not sure. I think I've got that incorrect. But say yes to opportunities. I was once asked to speak at an event, and it was the first time I did a really big event in my new professional career. And I was like, oh my God. I said yes when they asked me. They said, oh, it's their conference, their annual conference. And I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? How am I going to engage? And I started thinking about how am I going to do that? And I went into this free fall of trying to solve the issue. But what actually happened was I said, well, I can do it. I've done it before. Speaking to a group of 10 versus speaking to a group of 150 is no different, because I am focused on delivering value. I'm focused on helping people. So I took my ego out of the equation and focused on what I needed to do. But I said yes to the opportunity, and then I figured out how I was going to do it later. And that's how I became more confident running up to the event. And then I delivered it, and it was amazing. Because the time you spent thinking about saying no, or thinking about doing it, or overthinking or overanalyzing it, is the time you're spending procrastinating and not doing. So you leave your self-doubt behind. You know, everybody's fearful of something, but find your way to take action. We're all afraid of something. You know, even the person at 10 was probably fearful of something at some point in their life. So just another question for you. So we're talking about career confidence. And I don't know if this is relevant for all of you, but this for me is about being visible and credible. You talked about being confident and credible. Now, how often do you feel confident enough to share your ideas, whether it's at work, whether it's in a blog post, is it on a meeting, is it in a mastermind group, wherever you are in your career, how confident are you? Are you confident enough to share your ideas? Always, often, sometimes, rarely, never. Just, I won't read them out now because I'm just conscious of time, but just have a think about that. And if you're someone who always does, that's great. If you're on the never end, then I want to help you to actually speak up, because the being credible as well, being confident, again, takes you taking action. So contribute your ideas. So I've got someone I'm working with at the moment who, actually there's two people that I'm working with at the moment who want to share their ideas. Some are a little bit controversial. Well, they might be considered controversial, but she doesn't know because she hasn't been brave enough to share them. And someone else is, they've never written before and they want to put some posts out. And I'm saying, well, when you contribute your ideas, it demonstrates your knowledge. Don't fear being wrong, because there's always someone out there who's going to pick on you. There's always going to be someone who disagrees with you. You cannot please everybody all the time. So get to that point where you say it's okay. If you're maybe you're in a meeting, or you're talking to someone and you don't know, you're not quite sure what you want to say, you know, you want some thinking time. Some people, some introverts like to get their ideas cemented before they share. Some people like to have their thoughts out of their mouth and just share it with someone just to get clarity. So if you're not sure, you're unsure, or you're brain dumping, say so. You know, ask permission. Say to someone, do you mind if I share something with you? So if you're unsure, brain dumping, just say so. Again, there's time spent thinking about sharing your ideas, is time spent not doing. So leave your self-doubt behind and find your way to take action. That's a duplicate there. So what can you do to share your ideas, whether it's at work? So speaking to credibility, sharing your ideas is a good way to be visible, to get noticed, to get people to listen to you. So I read an article on X, or, you know, whatever it is, and that demonstrated. So share your thoughts. I wrote a journal. Again, ask permission if you feel the need to. I want to run this by you. Is that okay? Do you mind if I share some thoughts with you? And again, this speaks to your communication, your level of communication. This is a bit of a brain dump I'd like to share with you. So get clear on how you can share your ideas. Share them with people you're comfortable with first, maybe, and then open that up to the wider audience. But you're not going to be visible and credible if you're too scared to share what you're thinking. So find a way to do that. So moving on to boundaries. I think there was someone who said they want to learn how to say no more often. That was it. So practice it. So when you say no the first time and you would have normally said yes, you will squirm a little bit because you're worried about annoying someone. I was going to say, you know, you're people pleasing. So say no when you need to, or when you want to. If you know it's going to make you feel uncomfortable or down the line, say no. You will be respected for it, because people will know where your boundaries are. They will respect you more for it. And release any fear of missing out. I know the social media culture, everybody's looking at what everybody else is doing. They're not really doing it. They're just telling you they're doing it. Some people are, but don't worry about it. Do your thing, do you. Release any fear of missing out. Focus on yourself and stop the people pleasing. And in a work environment and a personal environment, make sure you create agreements. So assumptions can lead to chaos. So create an agreement, set expectations. We've agreed to do X, let's do this. When will you do it by? Have those types of communication, have those types of open conversations. Don't make assumptions. They all make you feel better about yourself. They make you feel better in what you're doing. And if you can't do something, if you do need to say no, or delegate it. So what's do, defer, delegate, delete. Don't forget to delegate. If you can't do something, pass it on to someone else, ask someone else to do it. Ego is one of the biggest blockers to self-confidence. The need to be right, the need to be the first, the need to be perfect, the need to be the best, approval, shining brighter than everybody else. You want to lord it over everyone else. You know, there's no such thing as perfect. And the minute you realize that, then you'll just carry on doing the best you can. So let go of your ego, let go of this perceived type of person who shines brighter than everybody else. You know, we're all equal, we all bleed. So yes, you can be good at what you do. Yes, you can be excellent. Yes, you can be outstanding. Yes, you can be quiet. Yes, you can be introverted, but do them in your way that feels right to you. Don't try to be better than anybody else. Think about you doing the best you can and being better than you were yesterday. So ego, remove ego. It's a big blocker to your self-confidence. It's a bit of a paradox, because you think, oh, my self-confidence is about me. Of course it is. But when you overlay it with all those egotistical behaviors, then it actually stops you from being truly confident. So think about the we rather than the me. Focus on you as a collective. And I always say, when you step outside of thinking about yourself and thinking about how great you want to be, and you focus on helping other people, that actually makes you feel better about yourself.
This since COVID, I've just been amazed at, yes, there's lots of selfish people out there focused on their ego, but there's lots of people coming together, going above and beyond what they need to do to help other people who are vulnerable, who are shielding. Community, that's what's missing from life. When you are more of a collective and a community, you can do so much more for yourself, and you'll grow and develop, and then your confidence will grow and develop. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and we can definitely be more effective together than individually. So leadership, you can be a leader without having leadership in your title. A leader is about someone who is not afraid to stand out from the crowd. So when you are truly confident, when you truly believe in who you are, you've done the work, you do the homework, you can be a leader. And whether that's just stepping forward amongst your family and friends, doing something different, or whether that is a leadership role within your organization or in your team. Think about your effect and impact on other people when you're thinking about your self-confidence as well. Oh, sorry, I'm starting to look at the chat. The chat just popped up. So that's the ripple effect. So how are you impacting other people with your behavior? So talking about confidence, speaking up, being credible. What is your impact on others? Do people draw towards you, or do they run away from you because of your behavior, your language, because you're so egotistical, because you're a bit of a bully, because you're always right, because you need to be the best, because you're so competitive? What is your impact on others? And I'm running a session on emotional intelligence in 2 or 3 weeks, and I talk about your self-management as well, your impact on others, whether you are good at bringing people together or you actually repel someone. You create that ripple effect that is either helpful or hindering. So what's your impact on others? Do you help others as a team or a mentor, or are you just, it's all about me? Create an inclusive environment. You know, diversity and inclusion is big on everyone's plate at the moment, but some people are still not even understanding how to be respectful and decent, common decency. How can we be inclusive if we don't even have respect for self and respect for others? So allow everyone to be heard. And then people will draw towards you. They will feel, this person makes me feel good, and you'll feel better about yourself as well. Speak up for others if need be. If you see or hear an injustice, you know, maybe you'll go about it being a bit quiet. I don't think you should have said that. Maybe you're scared of the backlash. But if you really feel strongly, speak up. If it really hits you, speak up. And that will also help you to help someone else and to help yourself. Step away from the blame game, especially in your working environment. It frustrates me when something goes wrong or there's a challenge. People want to say, oh, that was such and so, or that's team's fault, or that was Susan's or Bob's fault. Sorry if anyone's called Susan or Bob here. Step away from the blame game and don't throw other people under the bus. That will always make you feel worse about yourself. You know, again, think about a collective, inclusive environment. And again, so there's probably some tools around speaking up, how you can have communication if you want to speak up for yourself and for others. It's probably something I can do around that. If you're really curious about some phrases, then just let me know and I can share them with you. A big thing, and I think people forget to do this when they're talking about their career, is to list their accomplishments. People think they're not particularly good enough because they've forgotten where they've come. They've forgotten where they've come from, what their journey's been. So I'll do this tonight. Anybody who's not feeling great about themselves, who's got an interview, who wants to speak up more, who wants to say no, create your achievements. Okay, you can have your ego on this. Give yourself a pat on the back about what you've achieved to date, and keep them visible and revisit them to help you develop your confidence more. You can say, look how far I've gone, look how much I've achieved. You know, if you're into writing, that's great, or maybe audio, record it on your phone, or if you like the look of your own face, then do a video. But just do it as a reminder, because that's something that it's an easy homework I give my clients. Write a list of your achievements. I say to them, tell me about your major achievements. And they go, they should be on the top of your list. You should be able to reel off how amazing you are just by someone asking you. So those people going for interviews or going for your promotion, make a list of your accomplishments and your achievements, both major and minor.
Communication, super, super, super important. How well do you listen? Are you eager to respond? You're talking to someone, you're like, yeah, wait, I wish I'd get to the end of this sentence so I can say what I want to say. Is that you, or are you there, active listening, really tuning in? Do you ask for clarification when you're unsure? Do you just assume? How often do you miscommunicate? For those of you in personal relationships and professional, how often is there a miscommunication? Do you make sure that everybody understands what you're saying? Are you a dialogue or monologue person? Do people go, oh my God, it's her again or him again? You know, the person that needs to explain everything because they think you don't know what you're saying or you don't know what you're doing. Is that you? What is your style and clarity of communication? How can you improve it? So these are some ways that you can improve your communication: active listening, dialogue, not monologue. Feel free to take a screenshot. This is what you can do. Be clear on what you want to say. If it's a brain dump, say so. Make sure you research your topic. If you're going to share your ideas, research what you're going to share. If you're going to write a blog post, make sure you research your topic. Speak with clarity and always seek to understand and to be understood. So essential in communication. And there's your benefits. Who wouldn't want to have better relationships with yourself and with others? And it's vital to understand and be understood. And then you're better able to articulate your point. When you engage more, you're more likely to easily step out of your comfort zone. I'll talk a bit about comfort zones in a second. You can't be confident if you're not going to step out of your comfort zone. Remember, communication builds confidence, and confidence improves your communication. They go side by side. Beyond your comfort zone, who's got something that they need to do that they are putting off because it's out of their comfort zone? Anybody got anything that they want to do? Just checking the time. Conscious I'm talking a lot. I'm doing a diet, I'm doing a monologue.
I can go if nobody volunteers.
Is that Andrea? I can't see a video. Yeah.
I would like to confront one of our C-level with what has been going on in this situation and how empathetic or not the emails that arrived in that period have been when I'm returning from lockdown. That's speaking to power. Speaking
to power. You have the power, my love. You have.
Thank you.
So that's something you're working on, right?
Definitely, yes.
Fantastic. And out of your comfort zone. Well, good luck. We want to hear how you get on. Well, maybe privately.
Oh, you will recognize it maybe on LinkedIn.
Oh, okay. I'll have to connect with you, definitely. So if you want something, there you go. So there's a great one. Andreas is going to step out of his comfort zone. And he said, speaking to power. That's a great phrase, but I'd say you're just as powerful. Just because they got a C title doesn't mean that you're not relevant or what you've got to say is any less relevant. So step out of your comfort zone. That's an absolutely brilliant example. Thank you so much for sharing that, Andreas. Remain goal focused. He knows what he needs to do, and it's something that's important to him. So focus on why you're doing it. Couldn't have said this any better. Is it important enough to you? Well, it clearly is. And how does this relate to who you are and what you want to bring into your life, into your legacy and value? I'm not going into values today, but your legacies. You know, your legacy, when you look back, maybe most of you here are young, you might look, when you look back and you're in your 90s and your hundreds, what do you want to look back and say you did? What do you want to look back and say you contributed to the world? Do you want to say, well, I wanted to do things, but I was too scared. I didn't even try. You know, don't regret the things you do, regret the things you don't do, is what the saying is. So think about your legacy. If you don't do what you want to do, so those of you who shared while you're on this call, what will it mean to you if you don't do it? So think about it in that kind of reverse logic. And then once you know the answer to that, you can find why you want to do it, and you'll find reasons to do it. Oops. Jumping ahead there. So focus on one thing, change one thing. So for those of you who are going for an interview, You know, maybe you can focus on nailing your CV, nailing what your accomplishments are. So when you speak about how amazing you are to your future employer, that you know how great you are, you know what you're capable of achieving. So boost your confidence through that. So change one thing. So of the things I've said to you today, find one thing that resonates with you. And maybe I've not said it here, but maybe I've sparked something for you. So change one thing and use your thoughts and your words. So instead of using your thoughts to bring you down or tell you you can't do something, use your thoughts and your words and actions to lift yourself up and others. And remember that nothing will change if nothing changes. So I talked about the phrases earlier on. So for those of you, these are just some snapshots. Instead of, I can't, I don't know how to yet. I could never, I've learned new things before. I've done this before. I don't know enough. My knowledge is growing each day. Because these phrases, they're literally, as I said, your life is peppered with them. And these versions of your self-talk are what are telling you whether you are going to make it or not. Don't even try. Like if I had a penny for every fail I've had so many no's, I've not yet, I've had so many come back or whatever. I've had people ghost me. You know, companies told me that they want to work with me and I've never heard from them again. You know, I've had so many no's, so many fails, but in the meantime, I keep going. And all my no's are in direct correlation to the successes that I've achieved, because the more no's I get means the more I've been trying. So some of the successes have just been incredible. They've been bigger than the one I was, the low hanging fruit I was going through. So I'd say the bullseye is often bigger. So find your words, find your way to change your language. And if it's just deep rooted in you to say, I can't, I'm not good enough, I'm useless, that type of thing, just change it around. And even if you don't believe it yet, just change your self-talk. Do that every single day. Wake up in the morning, say, today I'm going to, today I will. Just say, even if you don't believe it, just keep acting on that and see what happens. So I'm going to scale you again. I think I had a poll there before, and yeah. So I'm going to poll you again. So just with what I've shared, I'm just curious to see where you are now. So we're going to do it again. And I want you to scale again. And we're going to see, I'm expecting the 10 to still be there. Or was that an accident? Oh, maybe I've said something that made you move from a 10 to a 9. I hope not. The person who's at 1 to 3, I'd absolutely love for you to get in contact with me. I think there were a couple of people there. I don't know if I can see the other poll results. Don't know how to do that. I've never tried that before, to compare it. I should have taken a screenshot. Whoever's at 1 to 3, get in contact with me, please. I really would like to hear what's going on for you. And I think the 10 might have been either an accident, or because I said, get rid of your ego, it's gone down to a 9 or an 8. I'm sorry. Sorry to burst your bubble. But no, seriously. So in general, we've had a bit of a shift, which is what I've expected, because what I've shared with you is just some perspectives on how to see yourself. And that alone sometimes shifts what you believe yourself to be capable of. That's not for everybody. There's still some people who are, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, who might need some more specific work, or they're still thinking their thing is so big they don't know what to do or where to start. But I'm hoping that one thing will have sparked something within you for you to take action with what I've said. So I'm going to end the poll and I'll share the results again. And I have to learn how to do that, to look at the poll results. And I'll look back at it actually. So once I've got the recording, I can have a look to see how the shift went. But just as I said, just by perspective, we can see what can be changed. So I'm sharing the results with you so you can see, and it'd be interesting to have, I don't know if you're comfortable speaking in this open forum, but if not, then you, as I said, you can message me privately, just to see what's going on for you. And for other people, I'd love to hear your feedback on what shifted for you. That's really always quite interesting. So bringing it all together, as I said, change one thing, choose one thing that resonated with you today, and also engage an accountability partner or support partner. When you are not alone, or you don't feel as though you're alone, you automatically feel stronger to be able to achieve something. I'm not saying I'm going to wait, you can wave a magic wand and your challenges go away, but at least you've got that support of someone helping you. So here are my contact details, but I'm just going to go into a Q&A. So what I'd like to do is, Maddie, if you can, I haven't been looking at the chat, so I'd like to invite you to ask some questions. If you've already asked a question, Maddie will probably share it with me in a second. And if not, we'll go through the chat box and see what's going on.
Okay, so someone says, look how far I've come. We all grown and achieved in comparison to ourselves, and that is a good way to think about things. And keeping an achievement log. That's actually quite a good idea. Very important for staying positive and for job apps opportunities. I think, yeah, that's really good. Okay, anyone else have got any? Can you hear me, Rosemary? Oh, you're on mute.
I can. No, yeah, I was taking a sip of my drink. I didn't want to slurp down the. I see lots of chats. I'll have a look. Yeah. Does anyone have a specific question?
So, I mean, I can say, so one thing that you said that really struck with me was, if someone asked me, what are your achievements? I honestly wouldn't be able to say them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a brilliant thing to think about just in life in general, but also, you know, to have that back of your mind if someone does ask you a question like that. It's not something like I would think about personally at all.
Yeah.
But if I did think about it, there's quite a lot of things that I've achieved, but I should probably think about them more often.
Well, usually what I say is, and I would have spent more time on that, write it down. So visually is great, but some people don't like writing, or they don't like to have things around. Mm-hmm. But write them down and put them in places where they're likely to trigger you to think, actually, I'm doing all right. I've done quite a lot in my time.
Yeah.
And I remember I was asked that question about what are my biggest achievements, and I was stumped, and I literally wrote my list, and I've got so many that I was like, oh, it was a really good exercise to really boost my confidence, and also something that's really useful if you're going for job interviews. As I said, that's really, really powerful. So I really recommend you to just recall how good you are at doing things, how much you can achieve when you put your mind to it, and how much you've done since you were born.
Yeah, exactly.
Since we started. So
someone says, I love the practice saying no tip. I'm not sure if I understand that. I love the practice.
Yeah, I said how to say no, the no tip. Practice saying no. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and then, are there any tips on how to take actions, how to start?
How to start? Is there something specific on?
I guess they might be referring to the practice of saying no tip, maybe. I think it's a bit unclear.
Are there any-
No, that was me.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm thinking of changing my career as well and have a lot of ideas. And I just want to change my life in general. But I kind of know how I want it to be, but how do I get there, and how do I even start to think about what steps or actions I
So
should take?
you know what you want it to be?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the vision,
You have the
but
vision.
I don't know how to get there.
And what have you done to research that vision, or find ideas, or find someone else that's done what you want to do, or something similar? Have you done anything like that?
No. So is that the?
That's a
tip?
starting point. So I didn't know what because you said you don't know where to start. So some people have done some research and then they don't know what to do after the research. I just was checking where had you got to. So you've done. So I would suggest your starting point, your first step, is research. So what is it that you want to do? Research, and perhaps find someone else that's done either what you want to do or something similar, and either speak to them or follow them on social media, because I don't know what it is. I don't want to ask you because it might be personal. Find their story, their journey. And the other thing I'd suggest is ask in your network who you know. Ask someone for help, or not advice, but they're an objective opinion. Find someone you trust.
Okay.
I'm happy to have a conversation with you separately as well, if you want to. So my contact details are there.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just in case I don't want to ask prying questions, because it's an open forum, so I don't want to embarrass you. So I'm happy to give you some specific pointers if you give me, email me or something. I can share some ideas with you if you tell me, if you're happy to share what your ideas are so far.
Yeah, great.
Yeah?
Okay. Thank you.
And someone else says, I think constantly learning things automatically builds confidence on a subject. It works for me in the IT sector as an independent consultant. That's pretty good. And then someone says, I have a question. I've got great ideas and I'm great orator, but I'm not very good in dynamic situations when someone throws a random question and I'm not prepared. In such situations, when I answered later, I feel I could have done much better. And I'm one of those. I'm there as well. Often happens. So,
what's the question?
So, question is, I guess, would be what is the question? Is how to be better at preparing yourself so you don't later on come back and say, oh, I should have said this or I missed that.
So the way to do that is to know your subject, and that's why I said about research your topic. If you are you can't necessarily be an expert on everything. You can have an opinion on everything if you want to, but research your topic. And the other thing is, it's okay not to know everything. It's okay to say, actually, I don't know, but that's a really good question. If someone asks you something, I'll get back to you. Or you say, that's really good. I really want to know that too. So I'm going to go off and research. So it's that ego thing again. If you think right now on that spot, I need to know the answer because I need to know the answer because they're going to think I'm silly if I don't, and that's just your ego talking. So research your topic, and if you know your topic and you're a great orator, just because you're a great orator, you're a great speaker, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a great troubleshooter, on the spot thinking. Some people don't like to be put on the spot, and that's also okay. So just be honest. I hadn't thought about that before. Let me have a think about that. I'll get back to you. So there's some ideas. So the idea is, don't feel the need to know everything. It's okay to relax a bit or do a bit more research. So that's what I would suggest for you. Any more questions?
Yeah, and then wouldn't it be valuable to start with the vision of yourself, like what you like to have happen? I sense this would be as needed as having one's accomplishments ready, wouldn't it?
So you're talking about visualization, Andreas. You're talking about imagery, NLP, Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, not necessarily. It might be just a clear idea what you want to become if you are unsatisfied with the situation at hand. So you wouldn't be like in the wind.
Yeah. So that's so I didn't cover goals today because I would have been talking for hours. So that is, so the imagination is, that's one of the things I'm really powerful on. What is it that you want? What is it that you want to be? That's always helpful, because so many people are chasing what they think they want or what they think they ought to be because of what their parents told them, because of what a teacher told them when they were younger, because what they heard on social media, because of what someone else is doing, and it's not actually what they genuinely want. And I'm a big fan of spending time in getting to know yourself. And most people are quite afraid to do that. But yeah, that's a perfectly good point to start with a vision of yourself, of where you are, what you're doing, what that looks like, what value are you giving, what's your purpose. Those types of questions are really, really powerful and important. But that's a whole way of life, as it were. But that's a great start for the Christine as well, for you to visualize where you're going.
Yeah, right in this town, definitely.
Yeah, someone said, do you have any tips for how to project yourself as someone to be taken seriously?
So the first question I would ask is, and again, I don't know, are you not being taken seriously? Have you got genuine evidence that you're not being taken seriously? Is it something you're thinking is happening, or is it something that's factually happening? So that's the first thing. So how do you know you're not being taken seriously or not? And again, this is part of being who you genuinely are. So being authentic, because so many people are afraid of saying the wrong thing, afraid of what people think, afraid that they won't be agreed with. And again, if that's your starting point, it's going to be very difficult to project who you are and be taken seriously, because you don't know who you are, because you're pretending to be someone else. So make sure you know who you are. Make sure you know whatever the subject is that you're speaking on, make sure you know what it's about. And when you deliver your conversation, or whatever that is, in the workplace, in a meeting, wherever that is, make sure you deliver it with credible information, and that you speak up, you communicate clearly, and that you enunciate or eloquently say what you need to say, or clearly say, not eloquent, you don't need to be eloquent, clearly state what it is that you're saying, and then people will start to listen to you and take you seriously. If you're kind of showing up mumbling, saying, I found this, it was an article on the Sun website, sorry, the Sun, then people aren't really necessarily going to take you seriously. So you think about where you're getting your information from. Think about, is it something in your head, or is it actually factual that someone said to you about not taking you seriously? And ask them for feedback. We're so scared of asking for feedback. Ask for genuine, objective feedback to help you to whoever might have given you that feedback, if that's the case for you.
Yeah.
That's Chantel. I hope, does that answer your question, Chantel? Does that give you some ideas? Yeah.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, super.
Right. And then someone says, I've been working on changing language with which to speak to and about myself. This is really building my confidence. It takes practice and awareness, as noticing those limiting beliefs has been the first step.
Okay, that's great. Wonderful, Maxine.
There's
So
one
that's saying what she's done, so there's no question. She's just saying, so well done. Just keep doing it, build on it every day. That's really great.
And one last one. At one point in life, it feels, is everything in life really worth the time? Should I continue with my career? Sorry, guys, my.
Oh, it's okay. I'll read the question. At one point in life, it feels as if everything in life really worth the time. Should I continue my career the way it is? I need to find out the core value of my life. Okay, Praki, that
sounds like a statement, not a question. But what I suggest, it sounds like your passion's gone. You're missing your joie de vivre, your raison d'être, your reason for living, your passion. So I don't know what else is going on for you. It's really hard for the outpouring of that kind of language for me, because, you know, I want to ask you questions, and this is not the time or place for me to go delving into your personal life. So again, this sounds very personal, and get in contact with me if there's something that you want to ask me specifically, and I can, you know, answer that privately, because it sounds so much that there's more to it than the surface. So, you know, when you give up on life, that's a sense of, I don't want to say defeatism, but as if you've let go because you've lost something. So for me, it's really, really important. You know, we get one short life. It's really important to find your passion and your purpose in life. It's so important to find it and continue looking for it rather than giving up. So that's Praki. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I really hope that's helpful for you, but please get in touch, email me, it's free. I'll send you an email and answer a question for you. I'm not going to force you to work with me. Don't be afraid of that. All right, so got to go now. Thank you so much for the session. It was really helpful. The private message. Oh, wonderful. I'll take your, I don't know if I can, I'll ask if I can save the chat. So Maddie, you can share the chat with me as well, can't you?
Yeah.
There's a couple of private messages, so if you can share that with me, so I can see that, or I should see that. Oh, hang on. Oh yeah, I can save it myself.
Yeah, is that okay? Okay, I think what's the time? I think we're literally exactly on time.
Oh, bang on. I tell you, I'm a stickler for, I talk really quickly, but I hope I'm really clear and eloquent and my communication is good. There's a lot to cover, I understand that. So again, please get in contact. I'm on LinkedIn, that's my home. Message me there and we can continue this discussion. So thank you, Maddie.
No worries. Thank you, everyone. You can engage with us on social media, Twitter, wherever feels comfortable. I will upload this on our YouTube channel as well if you wanted to access it again. And I'll tweet it out so you can see that on the tweet. But it's so I'm from Space 4, so you can find us on everywhere pretty much. But also we're having 3 more sessions with different subjects. So have a look on Meetup, so don't miss those as well. They're really good. I think next one is next week, and then there's 2 more. So yeah.
Okay, that's great. And if you like this as well, so remember I'm my own business as well. If you liked what I've said, you know, talk about me on same thing on Twitter, on LinkedIn is my home. Tell everybody how wonderful I am as well. And if you didn't like me, then you can tell me that personally. Thanks very much.
I'm gonna end. So
Thank
thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. See you at the next one.
See you at the next one. Thank you.
Bye.